First, we will hear more about the Aeroflex project, who are talking about next generation of long distance transports. And we will have two persons will be talking. It will be Ben Kraaijenhagen, who is project leader for Aeroflex and former working at MAN. And it will also be Karel Kural, who is a doctoral researcher at Han University of Applied Science. So please, Ben, you can start. I think you will have also, so you can change slides now. Good morning, Ben, and very welcome to start.
Good morning, Thomas. Thank you very much. I will take over from you. Also, warm welcome from my side. I am Ben Kraaijenhagen, the project leader of the project AEROFLEX. And to give you a little bit the background of the project, how can I switch slides? Yep, thank you. Our project is based on the roadmap towards zero emission logistics 2050, which is designed within the ALICE platform, the Alliance for Logistics Innovation through Collaboration in Europe. As you can see in this roadmap, there are 5 areas where we are looking into the logistics of the future. The freight demand, the transport modes, the fleet and assets, the fleet assets energy efficiency, and of course the use lowest energy emission energy sources. The project AeroFlex is really involved in 3 out of these 5 categories to really build up a solid roadmap towards this zero emission logistics. How far are we in our project? Yeah, as you can see, we had designed some goals to come up with new technologies, new vehicle concepts, new architectures, but most important is new standards. Because we have seen in the area of boundaries and constraints and in the recommendations for the new standards and how to apply and adapt the legislative framework, that it is absolutely necessary that in a world of intermodal transport of freight and cargo, it is extremely important to cope with new standards, which are dynamic standards. Why is this? At this moment, we have a very rigid system of working in the world of transport. So we should work to a more make use of the advantages of the different modes. We have to connect the urban and long distance freight transport, and to implement new technologies and new vehicle concepts in an outdated infrastructure as we have in Europe, you need to discuss the introduction of smart standards, not only for the trucks, the new vehicle concepts, but also for the load carriers to be intermodal and to talk about access to road infrastructure. And this is very important to start this discussion now, because this is the year 2020 where we as Aeroflex are going to introduce all these new vehicle concepts and technologies. We will not dive into this in this small presentation because that would really go too far in this way. So I really ask you, join the website Aeroflex, and there you can see the innovations as they are. More important today is to discuss about how can you achieve a large rollout on a broader scale within Europe. And that's why we need to start talking about smart infrastructure on a European base, so that we can have new pilots, new to have a real efficiency improvement of 30% in logistics in 2030. And it seems a long way, but 2030 is not that far away. Now I try to swap slide, but somehow it doesn't work. Can somebody help me? Yeah, there it is. What is very important in a European, oh, no. Sorry for this, it's very slow in the, yes, I believe Yeah, okay. Sorry for this, but the connection is very slow. If we talk about high capacity transport in Europe, we really have to talk about the right truck at the right time with the right cargo. As you can see at the left picture, the infrastructure in Europe is a real complex complication of all kinds of modes. We talk about water, we talk about rail, we talk about road and tube. And it is the moment to achieve the right interconnection between the different modes. You can start from a sea terminal or an airport terminal, but we need freight villages, or we need intermodal points where you can switch from one mode to the other mode. And we have to look how can we connect up the long distance transport into the urban logistics. And by using the right mode, we will achieve all this efficiency we are looking for. Secondly, and that is seen in the right picture, we have to look at the right cargo. We have to look at the cargo which is really transported along the different modes and which needs to go to the destinations we are looking for. We have chosen within the project AEROFLEX for two sizes of cargoes: the pallet goods, which are mostly the goods which have to go into the cities as a final destination, which are the consumer goods or the goods we need as humans, and the other cargoes not elsewhere specified, because those goods are not necessarily only in big containers transported by sea or inland waterways or railways. It is about those goods where we know they need to arrive at a destination where I need to be intermodal. The change of slides is very slow. Yes.
Yes.
Activities done so far within the project AEROFLEX is really coping with these new concepts and coping with how to implement them in Europe. And we had a long discussion with the Alice platform to see what is next after our project. Our project will finish in June 2021, and we need to work on this further implementation of these standards. First of all, we need to work in this coming year left how to scale projects to further demonstrate and implement these new technologies and systems, so that we can demonstrate that this efficiency and impact is really achievable. Secondly, we have to look at how can you link high capacity vehicles in the framework of high capacity transport to zero tailpipe vehicles to really connect up logistics, urban logistics, including last mile operations. And this is really necessary, because if we look at what are the targets within the Green Deal, then we are looking to 50 to 55% CO2 reduction by 2030. And this is not only to be achieved by having a other type of vehicle. This is really connecting up logistics through the whole chain. Then we need a project between the OEMs, the trailer manufacturers, the transshipments, and the intermodal operators to really demonstrate that we talk about a holistic system. We can handle and manage traffic and the operation of trucks in an intermodal context in Europe to achieve this efficiency. The fourth point we see as a very crucial one. That is the topic about infrastructure access policies, to show that we can talk about the right truck at the right time with the right cargo at the right part of the infrastructure. And this is why AeroFlex has started an initiative to start a task force on intelligent access policies, which needs to be ready and active by June 2021, that we really assure that the things we are dealing with in our project, that they will have a follow-up. And that's why we have also called for the involvement of the ETPs like Alice, AirTrack, Polis, and DG Move, with whom we have already contacts. Now I would like to hand over to Karel Kural so that he can go a little bit deeper into the issue of access policies. Karel, please go on.
Thank you very much, Ben, and good morning to everybody. I will try now to get my control over the presentation. Yeah, till now I see just a white slide. Okay, now.
Now I think it's working. We just have some technical issues here. So just continue, Karel. So I think it will work now. If you use
switch to the next slide.
Right and left arrow keys.
Yeah, I'm trying that.
Thomas, maybe somebody from your side can change slide.
Yeah, I think you.
It will be
Yes, you can change it. Just wait a little. Now, I think. So just tell us, Karel, when you want us to change slide, we will do that.
Yeah, please change the slide.
But this is right. Oh.
Yeah, brilliant.
Is it the right slide now?
Then we are now we are too down.
Det blir något föregående.
Just one slide more than I think it's slide number 17.
Oh, exactly. And then this. Now I think it should be right.
Okay, thank you.
But test again if you can use the arrow keys right or left. Just if you click in the screen, I think you can use it by your own now. It should work for you also. Yeah, but continue. Otherwise we will solve it here.
Okay. So just to continue, what you see on the picture on the left-hand side is a Europe with a spatial unit. And what you see is that there is more and more of the different sizes of these spatial units, and Europe became sort of discretized. And what you want to essentially do while doing a logistic task, you want to do the transport between these nodes. Now, the problem is that each of these nodes typically have its own local regulations, which are restricting the access and building up basically the barriers. And the essential message behind that is that we believe that this is something which keeps the logistic process less efficient. And obviously, from that perspective, we identified a need to develop sort of a pathway towards the unified intelligent access policy, which, and as Ben already pointed out, which will allow us to use the full potential of the infrastructure and do sort of a matchmaking between the vehicle and the infrastructure. And this should lead obviously to a more efficient logistic process, a more sustainable road freight transport. Now to do that, and I will now try to switch the slide, which I hope I can. Yeah, great. To do that, we identified 5 clusters of the stakeholders, which we believe will play a crucial role to make this thing happen. Well, first cluster is represented by the users. These are typically transport companies, fleet owners, let's say shippers, other road users, but also logistic service providers. Basically the people who you see typically as a logistic service operator. Now the second one is related to the providers. This cluster is gathering people which are companies and institutes that offers systems and tools to run the ITS layer on this intelligent access policy. Well, EVAR and meter, we will get to that in the coming slides. Now, policymakers, I think this is already self-explanatory. These are the stakeholders which are representing the national or European authorities, which builds up the rules. Then we have planners and owners, and this is more related towards the infrastructure. These parties are responsible to build and plan the infrastructure, but also maintain it. And the fifth cluster is as a facilitator, because the four clusters I mentioned previously, they typically are used to work more on the independent basis, and we believe that the facilitator is there to build the bridges between the clusters, and also to make, let's say, to make the thing happen. So these are the clusters which we feel should be represented inside the coming task force. And while investigating more on a European basis about the topic of intelligent access, we found good practices on a European level, but these are mainly related to the urban mobility. And here I plot two examples. One is a so-called UVAR pilot, which is a pilot program run by DG Move, and UVAR stands for Urban Vehicle Access Regulation. Well, what you see here is that there are, let's say that the UVAR is a sort of traffic management umbrella, which gives an access to certain vehicles based on the certain criteria. Now, these criteria here can be the vehicle type, vehicle age, well, size of the vehicle, but also the emission category. And then it gives the access to the vehicle into the city area to parts of infrastructure, which can be a core city center or arterial roads. And this is something which is here designated by the different colors. Now, there is also this cloud which is called meter, and meter stands for the Management for Electronic Traffic Regulations, which somehow controls these accesses. Now, we found also a second very interesting example, which is a project Nordic Way, and I believe that the Nordic Way is a program which is where Closer is also involved. So I don't need to, I think, say a lot about it, but the principle is the same, to make the good fitting between the vehicle and the infrastructure to ensure some criteria. Now, what we believe in Aeroflex is that similar sort of a mindset and a framework can be also applied into the road freight transport. Now, we obviously do not speak anymore about the urban areas. We speak about the infrastructure between the nodes, which I mentioned earlier. And in the picture on the right hand side, you may see again different colors, which can be different infrastructure segments, where dedicated road freight vehicles are operating. So nearby, let's say, the city centers, you want to have emission-free vehicles which are highly maneuverable and also, let's say, highly modular. But on the other side, if we're gonna talk about a multimodal transport on the long haul basis, which is designated here by the green line, there we see a potential to introduce obviously more efficient vehicles for this sort of logistic task, which can be the vehicles we are also aiming in Aeroflexproject. And obviously, you can then build up sort of a matrix between the vehicle and the infrastructure to ensure that the right vehicle is operating on the right spot. Now, getting me to the next slide. So this task force, as we see it, should gather all these clusters together, but we also feel that we would need to have a support on the European technological platforms, and each of these clusters is basically linked to some of these platforms. We mentioned here, for example, for providers, Ertigo is a very feasible platform. For For the users, we believe that Alice and AirTrack are the let's say appropriate ones. And for the planners and owners, which is the cluster related mainly to the infrastructure, we believe that Polis and obviously Cedar is the appropriate let's say cooperative platform. Now, since we are starting this task force, we would be happy to talk to you. And if you are having wish to join this task force, you're very welcome on board. And if you want to do so, please send an email to Marta Tovar, which is the one that runs this agenda. This brings me to the end of my presentation. I think I would like to also mention that inside the Aeroflex we have a number of workshops and meetings. The dates you may find in the right hand side of the slide. So there you are warmly also welcome to join and register to hear more about the Aeroflex, because as Ben said, we are doing a lot of stuff inside the Aeroflex, and given the time we get here, we could pick up only the parts which are relevant, we feel, for this conference. That's everything from my side. Thank you very much, and well, keep healthy.
Thank you very much, Karel, and yeah, thank you to the audience for listening to us. I'm sorry for the little obstructions about changing the slides, but I hope the message got over. And we are really happy when you could join us in working towards this task force.
I'm muted. Yes. Thank you very much, Ben and Karel. And I can also mention here, you talked about this new group for intelligent access, and also in CEDAR, which are the European Infrastructure Holders organization. We have also just started a new group, which will be during 2021 to 2023, where Sweden and Ian Loose Arts from Netherlands will be responsible for. And we will, of course, work closely together with this group, which is continuing from the Aeroflex project. And I think we have short. Sorry, continue. So I think it's very good that you are talking about this group, but this area, I think we have a lot of possibilities to have a more efficient transport system for goods in Europe. Jag ställde frågor direkt gärna. Sorry, I walk away to read the question. Yes, we have a question from Loose Arts about to the Nordic countries. Do they consider to introduce access policies, and if so, what steps are taking in this direction? And now we have more speakers later, so I'm not sure if they are connected, so they can say something. But in Sweden, I can say shortly that we are doing, but we have projects ongoing, and especially now for special transports, we are looking to have that, to see that we know all the time where we are traveling. So that I think will be the first, because we think that is the easiest way to introduce it, because they need to have a permit to drive. Otherwise, it's much more complicated. And included to this also, we want to have what we call onboard weighing, so that we know when they start which weight they have on the different axles, and also the total weight. And I know it's
Thomas, maybe to add that in the Netherlands there is this discussion going on to start up a pilot how to deal with EMS2 vehicles, and it is the intention to set up there also a kind of a access policy scheme to start pilots for EMS2 vehicles, and that would perfectly fit in adding the experiences and adding the first goals we meeting in our task force.
Yes, so I think that's very good. So I know Marcel Otto has been in contact with me about this. But otherwise, I think in the Nordic countries, it's not so much happening. I think most people are waiting because it's all these rules, European and EU rules about it. So that we will need to conclude after that. But I know also you have this meeting, and that is, I think, is a good way to continue to ASEA. We had this meeting in Brussels last year about this together with ASEA. I know Aeroflexproject together with ASEA, where the people from EU Commission also was there. And I think we need to have convince them that we need this.
Are working very well together.
So that I think is
absolutely.
the most important thing that we need to do.
Yeah. But it is also a request to the people who are really in the logistics that they also start to request for this, because they are finally the users of the infrastructure, and they are finally the ones who can benefit from it. And then directly and indirectly, the society will also benefit from this, that the logistics and the transport of freight and cargo will happen at the right time of the day. And then avoiding a lot of loss of money and cargo end up in traffic jams or congested roads.
Yeah, I fully agree. We need to finish now.